Good evening. This hour may be, for some, just another talk to pass through the mind and out again with tomorrow's errands. For others, it may be the most sacred and most important hour they have known to this moment, because a word heard from within will open the door to something they have suspected but not yet touched. And for still others, it may be a quiet turning. No fireworks, no emotion, but a turning of the heart from believing about God to meeting Him. For some of you who are devoted churchgoers, faithful to your pew, faithful to your creed, I honor that faithfulness. You have been taught to believe, to affirm, to assent to statements about God. For others who have been wounded, who have given your trust and found rules, penalties, or human authority where you hope to find God, I welcome you without a single requirement, without a single apology demanded of your past. And for still others who wear no label at all, who say, I don't know the language, but I do know I am hungry for something real. You are perhaps closest to the threshold because you are not defending anything. You are reaching. Now let us say this gently and plainly. The Church, as we have known it, has trained us to believe ideas about God. It has given us conclusions, positions, doctrines to which we might agree or disagree. But Jesus did not primarily call men and women to agreement. He called them to abide. He pointed again and again to a state of consciousness. I and the Father are one. Not as a slogan to memorize, but as a living awareness in which the presence becomes the life of the individual. The reason is this: belief is about God. Consciousness stands where God is. And so, before we go a single step further, I must say what I always say. There is no recruiting here. There are no memberships, and no one can join it. We are not forming an organization. We are discovering an organism of spirit. The only bond, hear this, the only bond is a spiritual bond, and you verify it within yourself. You do not become part of something by signing. You become part of it by awakening. Therefore, the question that will guide our time is very simple and, if you will let it, very searching. What is the experiential meaning of I am beyond doctrine? What changes when we practice it rather than argue it? If I am is the doorway Jesus left in our keeping, is it a phrase to win a debate, or is it an opening into the very presence that fed him, guided him, and healed through him? Just silently, within yourself, no effort, notice that word I. Not yet the practice, only the noticing. If, in this hour, that I becomes for you the beginning of I am as a living awareness, then this will not have been a talk. It will have been contact. And contact, once made, becomes the difference between a life explained and a life lived in God. Now, let us be very clear about what belief is. Belief is secondhand. It is acceptance of a statement someone else has made. Loyalty to a formulation someone else has framed, comfort in a belonging someone else has organized. Belief can be honest, it can be noble, it can be the best a person knows at a given hour, and it is still secondhand. Thinking of water is not drinking it. Reading a map is not walking the country. Memorizing a menu is not tasting the meal. You can fill a mind with correct ideas and leave a heart unfed. For many, perhaps for some of you, there is a hidden ache that returns even under the shelter of right belief. You have been faithful, busy, sincere. You have served committees, sung hymns, given generously, defended truth as you understood it. You have read the books, kept the rules, and gone home to a restlessness that does not name itself aloud. On Sunday you felt lifted. By Wednesday, a hollow reappeared. It is not that you have done wrong. It is that you have mistaken a report for a relationship. The ache is not for more ideas about God. The ache is for God. External religion offers securities, ritual to steady the nerves, social identity to secure a place, rules and penalties to define the borders, and always the fear of being wrong to keep the line tight. But notice the direction of all of that. It points you outward for confirmation and inward only for suspicion. Jesus would not leave us there. He said, "He that hath ears to hear, let him hear." He said, "When thou prayest, enter into thy closet." He said, "The kingdom of God is within you." He said, "My sheep hear my voice." Not, "My sheep agree with my propositions," but "hear my voice." That is not doctrine. That is contact. And we must speak plainly about externals, not to scorn them, but to free you from their false promises. If applause could give peace, the stage would be heaven. If wealth could still the heart, the headlines would not be crowded with those who have everything and cannot sleep. If religious certainty could save the soul, the sternest sect would be the happiest people on earth. You know it is not so. You have seen people approved, successful, and afraid. You have seen people right and restless. No one can ever attain lasting joy from an external circumstance, even a religious circumstance. At best, it inspires. At worst, it anesthetizes. Only when an outer thing becomes a doorway to inner union does it bear enduring fruit. Therefore, we diagnose it this way. Belief talks about God. Consciousness stands where God is. A right without realization is a picture of bread in a famine. A creed without contact is a lamp with no oil. You may carry all the correct phrases and remain a stranger to your own life. This people draweth nigh unto me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. The heart's distance is the whole matter. Bring the heart near, not by trying harder to agree, but by yielding to the inward hearing and seeing Jesus required. And when that happens, when belief yields to awareness, you will find that the hunger you feared was your enemy was in truth your guide. It was God within you calling you home to God. Now let us let the Master's words stand as they are, not as a slogan, not as a membership test, but as instruction for life. Abide in me, and I in you. Not believe about me, sign for me, argue for me. Abide, stay, live in, dwell in, remain in. And then that answering promise, and I in you, which is not a tomorrow, not a hope, but a present reciprocity. Where you abide, I abide. Where you open, I pour. Where you consent, life flows. This is the difference we must see, or we will miss the way entirely. Belief seeks to be correct. Abiding seeks to be connected. Belief collects conclusions. Abiding receives life. Belief can amass quotations. Abiding becomes a place of quiet fruitfulness. Belief tries to hold an opinion about Christ. Abiding lets the Christ hold you. Do you see the direction of it? One moves outward into words and defenses. The other moves inward, into contact, and yields itself to presence. Listen again to Jesus directing attention. The kingdom of God is within you. Not in a hill city, not in a shrine, not under a steeple. Within you. When he spoke with the woman at the well, he removed the argument about places. Neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem. The true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Spirit and truth do not have street addresses. Spirit and truth require a temple. And the temple is consciousness. Your very awareness awakened to the indwelling I am. Now, some are uneasy here. They say, is this not self-centered? Is this not mystical? It is the most reverent posture a soul can take, because it treats God as present rather than absentee, immediate rather than remote, cause rather than rumor. Self-centeredness makes the little self the source. Abiding confesses the little self has no source apart from God. Mysticism of this kind is simply honesty about where God meets us, in the within, so that God may appear through us, in the without. Notice the gospel pattern. Again and again he asks, do you believe that I am able to do this? He is not administering a catechism. He is opening a channel. According to your faith, be it unto you. Their yes was not theological sophistication. It was conscious receptivity, a door opening inward. It is the same when the woman touches the hem and he asks, who touched me? The touch was not physical pressure. It was contact, awareness reaching forth to presence. Blessings cannot be inflicted. They are received in abiding consent. Therefore here, abide in me, as your instruction for this night and for your morning. Do not strain. Do not perform. Turn within. Acknowledge the kingdom where it is, and let the I am that Jesus revealed be the life of this I that you secretly are. Agreement will tire you. Union will renew you. Agreement will make you nervous and defensive. Union will make you quiet and strong. Abide, and you will discover that what he taught was not a platform to defend, but a life to be lived. I in you, until even your common hours become a sanctuary and your breath a prayer. Now let us come to this sacred phrase that has frightened some and become offense for others, but which in the Master's mouth was a door. I am. The Church has often guarded those words as if they were a border to keep people out. Orthodoxy on one side, heresy on the other, while Jesus used them as a revelation to bring people in, to bring them into God. With reverence, I say it. When institutions become nervous, they set watchmen at the edges of words. When the Spirit speaks, it opens the center of them and bids us enter. We must make a gentle distinction here, not to divide, but to see truly. There is Jesus, the historical person, who walked in Galilee and grew weary at the well, who slept in a boat and ate with his friends. And there is the Christ, the indwelling presence, the light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world, made known through him. Jesus is the name of a man. Christ is the nature of God revealed as man. If you do not see this, you will be tempted to put I am up on a shelf as a trophy about Jesus, rather than receive it as the living truth he came to awaken in you. When he says, before Abraham was, I am, he is not boasting a human past that stretches beyond history. He is opening the curtain on timeless being. I am is not yesterday's ego, nor tomorrow's ambition. It is the eternal now of spirit, the isness of God present as consciousness. And so the sentence does not place one man over a patriarch. It unveils the one that is before, within, and beyond all persons. This is why it steadies the heart. The ground of your life is not your years, your ancestry, your record. The ground is I am, being itself, rising here, now, as awareness. When he says, I and the Father are one, he is not giving you a slogan for an argument. He is speaking a principle of union available to consciousness, the same union he prays we would know, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee. Do you hear the invitation? Not think correctly about it, but enter it, live from it. Let it be your breath and your seeing. This is why agreement fatigues and union renews. Agreement lives in the mind about. Union lives in the heart with. Now the practical question comes to us, as it must, or else we are only admiring words. If I am is presence, how do we stand in it today? In this body that aches, in this home with its needs, in this work with its pressures. We do not travel to it, we consent to it. We do not strain up to heaven, we acknowledge heaven within. Just silently, even this moment, notice that the sense of I in you is not a thought you are making. It is a life you are witnessing. Yield your attention to that inner fact. Let it be simple. I. And then, without adding a single adjective, let I be what it is. I am. If you will hold that, not as a formula, but as a recognition, you will find that the same presence that spoke through the Master is here to be your life, your guidance, your peace. And when it becomes the quiet center from which you move, debates fade, boundaries soften, and fruit appears, not because you have won an argument about Jesus, but because the Christ, the I am he revealed, has taken the field of your consciousness and made it holy ground. Oh, where did the time go? Let us stay with this and see what it does in the very next breath. Now if you can just visualize for a moment, quietly, right where you are, a branch on a living vine. Do not hurry past it. See the vine sunk into the earth, its roots spread invisibly into the whole field, drawing, 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 waters you never see, minerals you never touch, the hidden chemistry of life itself. Now see the branch. When it abides in that vine, you do not have to argue whether it will leaf, whether it will flower, whether it will bear. Supply is not a reward for good branch behavior. It is the nature of union. Sever that branch, and no judge appears, no sentence is read. Yet you can come back tomorrow and the next day and watch the inevitable. The sap cannot reach it. The life cannot pass. It withers. Not because it has been bad, but because it is disconnected. This is why the Master chose this, not as poetry, but as mechanics of spirit. I am the vine, he said. Ye are the branches. Source and expression, origin and outlet. The fruit does not hang because the branch tries. It hangs because the life flows. Apart from that flow, hear his plainness. Ye can do nothing. You can trim, polish, arrange. You cannot live. You cannot produce spiritual fruit by personal strain any more than a severed twig can manufacture sap. Now translate that into our day's aches. Anxiety is the feel of the branch trying to be its own vine. Resentment is the feel of the branch comparing its fruit to the next branch and forgetting the root. Chronic striving, that tired mind that cannot stop, is the religion of the severed branch, worshiping effort in place of life. Lack is not always a number on a check. It is the sense of being cut off from the invisible root system of good. And so you may say your affirmations, collect your doctrines, count your virtues, and wake at 3 a.m. like a dry stick. Not punished, disconnected. Where then is the grafting point? It is in that little word we have been touching. I. When I is not wearing your history, when I is not prosecuting your grievances or exhibiting your medals, when I is allowed to be simply I, the sense of being itself, there the branch is in contact with the vine. Just silently, in the midst of your next pressure, remember I, not as John or Mary, not as a resume, but as the point of awareness. That is where the Christ, the I am, meets you. That is where the sap moves. And here is the holy inevitability. Even faintly realized, union begins to demonstrate. Without strain, ideas come where confusion sat, guidance where guessing ruled, peace where debate churned, strength where nerves frayed. And not as a mood only, but as real outcomes, right words at the right moment, right doors opening without your pounding, right timing that seems almost orchestral. Wisdom, knowledge, intelligence, virtues, powers, vitalities, immortalities, qualities of the One begin to appear as your very experience. You are not making them, they are flowing. A house divided cannot stand. A branch united cannot help but bear. Therefore, understand me when I say, union is not poetic language. It is the mechanism of spiritual supply. Without it, we wither. With it, we bear fruit. Protect the contact more than you protect your plans. Abide more than you arrange. Turn and turn again to that inner I until it is quietly known as I am. And let the life that fed the Master pass through the small twig of your daily hours, until your table, your work, your very breathing show forth what words alone could never prove. Now we will not talk about it. We will do it. For some of you, this will be immediate. For others, it will be a first, faint opening. For still others, it will seem like nothing happened tonight. And then, while washing a dish tomorrow or waiting at a red light, it will come like a soft arrival. Do not grade yourself. Do not force. Just silently within yourself. Think of that word, I. Not aloud, not with effort. Just declare it within yourself. I. We are not affirming personal greatness. We are not attempting to work ourselves into a spiritual mood. We are not trying to believe harder or prove anything to anyone. We are consenting to be still long enough for the truth to announce itself where it always speaks, within. Therefore, first, become still. Let the body sit as it is. Let the breath fall into its own slow rhythm. If the hands want to loosen, let them. If the shoulders want to drop half an inch, let them. Be unheroic. Be simple. Second, feel the simple fact that you are. Before a thought, before a role, before a name, there is this quiet fact. You are. Do not paint it. Do not decorate it. Just notice it as you would notice the presence of light in a room when the switch is on. I. Third, rest as that I. Not the I that argues, remembers, compares. The I that is aware of arguing, remembering, comparing. The point of awareness itself. Just silently say within, I, and then let the echo of it rest in you as a small, steady flame. If thoughts come, and they will, do not push them, do not chase them. Return as often as needed to the bare word, I. Fourth, without adding any word to it, let the presence behind I reveal itself in its own way. It may come as a softening. It may come as a little clearing of the mental weather. It may come as a warmth, or as nothing but a quiet witness that was there before you noticed and will be there after you stop noticing. If, without your managing it, the sense of I leans open into I am, being, not your being, but being, let it be. If it does not, let it be. The river does not speed up when you shout. Now, I know the common obstacles. The mind chatters, lists, headlines, yesterday's sharp word. Let them pass like people through a station. Come back to I. Guilt comes. I am not worthy. No one ever became worthy by effort. Grace is not earned, it is received in consent. Come back to I. A fear whispers, what if I deceive myself? Self-deception is enforcing. God is not found by strain. Come back, very gently, to I. How will you know something real has been touched? Do not look for fireworks. Look for a small, measurable sign. The breath slower than it was a minute ago. A tiny unclenching where you hold life too hard. A quiet witness that says, without words, I am. Not believed, felt. Not performed, present. If even the slightest degree of this has appeared, you have tested the principle. When I is held in stillness, it opens into I am as presence. Hold to this as you would hold to a lamp in a dark hallway, without drama, without hurry, and let the way be made bright for the next step. Now, having touched that little flame of I, we must speak tenderly, with reverence, about the rites that have been dear to many of us, baptism and communion. We are not here to mock. We are not here to take away a single comfort that ever steadied a trembling heart. Many have been helped by these outward acts, as far as they could be helped by them, and for that we give thanks. And yet, if you listen honestly, you know that even after the water dried, even after the bread and the cup, a hunger often returned. Not because the rite was wrong, but because the soul will not be satisfied with a picture when the living presence is available. Paul, whose zeal for forms had once been fierce, came at last to this great clarification. Neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision, but a new creature. Do you hear it? Not this mark or that, not this badge or that, but newness of being. He was not scorning the sign. He was saying the sign without the thing signified is an empty seal. And so with baptism. The water upon the head is a symbol. The washing of consciousness is the reality. John could immerse in Jordan, but he also said, There cometh one mightier. He shall baptize you with the Holy Ghost and with fire. Water on the skin may mark a day. Fire in the heart remakes the life. The inner baptism is the gentle burning away of fear, guilt, and the sense of separation until there is simplicity. I and the Father are one. Not believed only, known. And communion, what is it if not feeding on the very life of the presence? Bread can be lifted, a cup can be passed, and still the mind can be noisy and the heart unentered. Or a soul may sit alone in a kitchen with no elements at all, whisper, I, become still, and find that my flesh, the substance of Christ, is meat indeed, and my blood, the life of spirit, is drink indeed. The symbol points, the presence feeds. The table is holy when the inner guest is received. Without that, we have eaten a remembrance and missed the meal. This is why blessings cannot be inflicted. No sacrament, no matter how ancient or earnestly performed, can mechanically produce union. You cannot benefit from a rite unless you consciously unite yourself with what it represents. Two may kneel at one rail. One, consenting inwardly, opens and is quickened. The other, anxious and outwardly occupied, rises unchanged. The difference is not the bread. The difference is awareness. Receptivity is participation. Conscious consent is the chalice. Therefore, I invite you to a higher reverence, not less. To honor Jesus is not to bind ourselves to a form because he once touched it. To honor him is to follow the inner instruction his words contain. The kingdom of God is within you. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The outer rite is not wrong. It is incomplete until it becomes an inner realization of union. And so, the next time you see a font, let it remind you to let the inner water wash your thought. The next time you see a cup, pause, just silently within, say I, and receive the life that is present. Then take your baptism to your desk and your communion to your front door, until your hours themselves become the sacrament, and the hunger that once returned has nowhere left to land. Freedom is hard to win. It's much harder to retain. The very hour you have even a small taste of inner freedom, when the breath loosens and the presence is felt as near, the pull of old patterns will come, and it will come twice as hard. It will come as the comfort of certainty. Let me get back to what I can prove, what I can quote. It will come as the safety of approval. Let me say this in a way that pleases the group, the family, the press. It will come as the familiar identity. Let me be the person I have always been, busy, competent, outward. And if you do not see what is happening, in one respectable step, you will trade living union for the religion of memories. These temptations are subtle. They will not shout, they will nod. They will offer you a theology when what you need is silence. They will offer you a controversy when what you need is a closet. They will offer you performance, more meetings, more committees, more religious busyness, when what you need is to return and abide. You will feel an itch to turn your inward wordless knowing into an outward position to defend. You will feel an urge to fix someone else before you have rested an hour in the one who alone heals. And the soul, which had just begun to be fed, will find itself chewing on husks again. Correct husks, beautifully labeled husks, but husks. Scripture gives us our warning lights. Lot's wife looked back. Why? The pull of the known, the affection for the city's definitions, the fear of walking forward into the invisible. She became a pillar there, frozen, a monument to a half-obedience. Esau sold his birthright for a mess of pottage, traded the invisible inheritance for the immediate appetite. Do you see the pattern? The exchange of the unseen, which must be held in trust, for the seen, which can be grasped now. The soul must learn this. What is of God often begins in invisibility and must be guarded in silence until it bears fruit. Therefore I say, and I say it with love and, with a little urgency, once you glimpse inner union, protect it. Not by arguing for it, but by abiding in it. Not by pledging loyalty to a group or a name or a teacher, but by fidelity to the inner contact itself. Give up all others and cling to this as you do in marriage. If someone asks, "To whom do you belong?" answer inwardly, "To the presence that is my life." The infinite way, call it what you will, has no memberships and no one can join it. The only bond is a spiritual bond. You verify it by living from it. Set guardrails that keep you inside this grace. Take daily periods of stillness, brief, faithful, unheroic. Morning and night, close the door and return to I. Less talking, more listening. Refuse the itch to debate. Measure every teaching, every book, every broadcast by fruit. Does it leave peace, a softened heart, a freer forgiveness, a clearer guidance? If it leaves agitation, self-importance, or the thrill of being right, lay it down gently and turn within. Keep short accounts with resentment. Refuse the second helping of outrage. And when fear or habit drags you back, do not scold yourself. Just silently within, say, I, and come home again. Hold to this, and you will find the temptations lose their splendor. The world will keep offering you 100 respectable substitutes for consciousness. By their results, you will learn to smile and decline. Protect the contact, and the contact will protect you. Abide, and the fruit will show. And when it shows, healing, guidance, peace, then you will know you have kept the birthright, and the city behind you has nothing you need. Now we must speak of proof, of demonstration, not debate. For some, the very word has been cheapened by showmanship or wounded by disappointment. Let us redeem it to its plain meaning. By demonstration, I do not mean noise, rhetoric, or a mood that collapses by Thursday. I mean a change in condition. Fear reduced to a manageable whisper. A body responding to order. Supply opening where there was a wall. A relationship softening where it had been stone. Guidance coming where the map was blank. Guilt loosening its knot. Peace not as a theory, but as a felt climate in which you can breathe. When I am becomes consciousness, this begins to appear. Not all at once, not always spectacularly, but actually. Why does healing belong here? Because the Master never offered a philosophy to admire and leave on the mantle. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. Teaching and healing were one thing, because union and power are one thing. Virtue went out of him when there was contact. The power was not personality, not will, not a talent he guarded. It was the life of God flowing through consciousness that knew its oneness. He said, "The works that I do shall ye do also," not as a dare, but as a description of what union does when it is allowed to live your life. Now the inner mechanics, so that no one imagines magic. As consciousness rests in presence, personal will softens. The little engineer in us, forever pushing levers, grows quiet. The mind, no longer filled with self-argument, becomes receptive. In that receptivity, a new order appears. The order that was there before we overlaid it with our managing. Sometimes it is as simple as a right thought arriving at the right moment, not from calculation, but as givenness. Sometimes it is a felt assurance that needs no words, and the body, which listens far more than we know, responds to that assurance by letting go of its alarm. Sometimes it is a door opening that had been stuck for years, and you cannot say why it opens now, only that you stood inside long enough for I am to take the field. We are not promising spectacle. We are promising fruit. The fruit may begin as calm in a crisis phone call so that you hear what is actually being said and answer from center instead of from panic. It may be the right sentence forming on your tongue in a hard conversation and the room cooling by 5 degrees. It may be a physician's report gradually turning, not by denial, but by cooperation between wisdom and a quieted nervous system. It may be the quiet courage to make a clean apology and watch an old estrangement come to peace. It may be sleep returning. It may be a way with money that is simple, honest, and provided for. These are not fireworks. They are the kingdom appearing as daily bread. Take self-responsibility for this. Test it. 30 days, morning and night. Close the door. Be still. Say I until it ripens to I am. And go about your day without announcing it. Measure by fruit. If a teaching leaves you agitated, superior, argumentative, discard it gently. If this practice leaves you steadier, kinder, clearer, keep it and deepen it. People are not interested in a philosophy of words unless it can be backed with demonstration, and neither is God. Blessings cannot be inflicted, they are received by conscious union. Therefore, consciously ask, consciously open, consciously abide. By their fruits ye shall know them. Let that be your creed. Not my word, not any book's word, but the life that shows itself when you dwell in I am. And if you say, I have only a small beginning, cherish it. A seed carries the whole tree. Stay with it, and the proof will move from the edges of your day to the center, until peace, guidance, and health are not special visits, but the atmosphere in which you live and move and have your being. Now some of you are asking, quietly, where do I belong in this? With whom am I walking? And I must say again what I have said in living rooms and halls from one coast to the other. There are no memberships, and no one can join it. We do not have a book to sign. We do not pass a test, and there is no human authority who can guarantee fidelity. The only bond here is a spiritual bond, and you verify it, not I, by your own inner contact and the fruit that follows. It is you yourself, without human obligation, who must spiritually hold fast to what you have touched. For some of you who have believed all your life, this is not a leaving, but a deepening. Take the creed that steadied your childhood and let it ripen into contact. Let I believe in God become I abide in God. For others who left belief because it became a cage or a quarrel, you may return without returning to bondage. Come back not to rules, but to presence, not to labels, but to life. For still others who have never belonged anywhere religiously and are tired of performing at the world's altars, enter without performance. No costume is required, no special vocabulary. Just silently within yourself, consent to I, and let I open into I am. What then is community in this way? Not conformity of opinions, but a shared turning within. Not rules to enforce, but mutual encouragement to abide. When 2 or 3 gather in His name, do you hear it? Not in a banner, not in a building, but in His nature, in the awareness of I am. There the Christ is in the midst. We can sit in a chapel or on a bus or across a kitchen table. If we turn at the same inner hour toward the same inner light, we are together. And if we never meet in the flesh, there is still a quiet fellowship, a spiritual band around this globe of souls keeping the lamp of inner union trimmed and bright. Now, about churches and synagogues and the places that raised us. Be respectful. Stay if staying helps you remember and abide. Bless the minister who points you inward. Sing the hymn if it lifts your heart into silence. But do not substitute attendance for abiding. The ushers may count heads, the Spirit counts hearts. If the gathering draws you into controversy and away from contact, take a Sabbath in your closet. If it sends you out steadied in presence, then you have received communion indeed. And let me say this as a little platform aside. When I am on a platform and the Spirit comes upon me, I forget everything else. The message flows, time vanishes. Oh, where did the time go? and I stand there as surprised as anyone. But the test is always the same, for me and for you. Does it bring you to inner presence? Do you leave with an argument or with I am? Measure it that way, and you will not be deceived by personality or performance. Therefore, let your belonging be simple. You don't join this by signing anything. You unite with it by turning inward and living from the presence Jesus revealed. If you do that in your pew, you belong. If you do that at your desk, you belong. If you do that alone before dawn, you belong. Hold to the inner bond, honor it in each other, and let the fruit be your letter of introduction everywhere you go. Now the question is always tomorrow. How will you carry this into the first light, into the desk, into the phone call you do not want to make? Let it be simple. In the morning, before you touch a device or a plan, sit. Be unheroic, be faithful. Just silently within yourself begin, I. Not as boasting, not as a magic phrase, but as a doorway. Let the soundless words settle until it ripens of itself into quiet presence, until the very air of the room feels like I am. Do not time it by a clock. Time it by peace. For some 5 minutes will open the door. For others, 10. For still others, a single minute of honest consent will do more than an hour of strained effort. Then rise and take that climate with you. All through the day return to the vine. Small returns, many times. At the sink, one breath, I. At a red light, one breath, I. Before you answer the email that stings, one breath, I. Hand on a doorknob, one breath, I. Not escaping duty, uniting with supply. Not avoiding decisions, letting wisdom precede words. And at night, before sleep, let the last awareness be the same. I. Until rest gathers you inside the presence that never sleeps. When fear arises, do not fight it outwardly. Do not arm yourself with louder opinions. Do not rehearse victories or compose defenses. Return. Let consciousness meet God rather than belief defending ideas. The branch does not lecture the wind. It abides, and sap answers. So you abide, and watch fear thin out in a presence that requires no argument. Practice a gentle exclusivity. Turn down the world 2 notches. Less news, fewer controversies. No spiritual shopping from counter to counter chasing a new flavor of peace. Give more attention to the inner teacher. Keep one book open, the altar of your own stillness, and let that instruction govern the day. Bless what is good wherever you find it, but cling to the contact as you would to a lifeline. Freedom is hard to win. It is much harder to retain. Protect it with quiet. And now, take responsibility for proof. Keep a private record, not for boasting, for nourishment. A small notebook, a few lines a day. Peace where there was turmoil. Guidance where there was groping. Healing where there was ache. Supply where there was wall. Let results be your confirmation. By their fruits you shall know, not by your moods, not by your rhetoric, but by the gentle turnings of actual life. We are nearly done. Take a breath. Feel the floor, the chair, the soft company of this moment. The sacred is not reserved for Sundays. It walks with you into tomorrow's work. Your wounds and your worship need not be 2 rooms. Let them be one consciousness, abiding. And, when I am on a platform, and the Spirit comes, the minutes run like water. Oh, where did the time go? Go now with one rule. Do not believe harder. Abide. Let I am be the quiet center from which you speak, decide, mend, and rest. Peace to you. Be still and know.